Hello Army, welcome back to my channel. If you were tracking timelines last night, you already know that something genuinely massive just happened. BTS, with Jimin front and center as always, just wrapped their very first night back at MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, marking their return to the New York and New Jersey area for the first time since their Love Yourself tour shows at this exact same venue all the way back in May 2019. Let's talk through everything about this historic first night, what we know about how it unfolded, and what it means heading into that second and final New York area show happening tonight. Let's start by setting the full scene here, because the weight of this specific moment genuinely deserves some context before we dive into the details. This wasn't just another stop on the Arirang World Tour. This was BTS's return to one of the most significant stadiums in their entire touring history, a venue that already held deep significance within the group's story, given that their previous appearance here represented such a pivotal moment during their earlier international stadium touring era. Coming back to this exact location, 7 years later, following everything the group has been through since then, including the completion of all 7 members' mandatory military service, adds this genuinely powerful layer of full-circle symbolism to last night's performance. Let's talk about the scale of what happened last night. MetLife Stadium holds a capacity exceeding 82,000 fans, and last night's show reportedly sold out almost instantly when tickets first went on sale back in January, well before the show itself even took place. That kind of overwhelming demand speaks volumes about just how significant this New York area stop was always going to be, both for the tri-state area's massive Army community and for fans traveling in from across the country and around the world specifically to be part of this historic return. Let's dig into what we know about the actual show itself. Based on the established pattern this current tour has followed at previous stops throughout its run so far. The Arirang World Tour setlist typically runs around 23 songs, blending 9 tracks from the current Arirang album with a career-spanning selection of beloved classics pulled from throughout BTS's entire discography. Based on the pattern established across previous tour stops, fans last night likely experienced a setlist opening with high-energy tracks before working through a carefully constructed mix of new material and longtime fan favorites, hitting everything from earlier hits to material from their most beloved albums, all built around that distinctive 360-degree and the round stage design that's become a signature element of this entire touring cycle. Let's talk about that stage design specifically, because it's genuinely one of the most talked about production elements of this whole tour. Unlike a traditional stadium show where the stage faces primarily in one direction, this 360-degree setup places the audience completely surrounding the performance space, ensuring that every single section of the stadium gets a genuinely excellent view of all 7 members throughout the entire show. For a venue as massive as MetLife Stadium, holding over 82,000 people, this kind of immersive staging approach represents a genuinely significant production undertaking, and it's exactly the kind of detail that's helped make this tour feel like such a next-level evolution compared to some of BTS's earlier stadium touring efforts. Let's also touch on one of the most exciting recurring elements of this entire tour, something that's generated enormous anticipation at every single stop so far. Each show includes 2 rotating surprise song slots, and based on reporting from previous stops on this tour, these surprise selections are reportedly a genuine surprise even for the members themselves, meaning nobody, not even Jimin and his bandmates, necessarily knows in advance exactly which songs will be performed during these specific segments on any given night. This element adds this genuinely thrilling layer of unpredictability to every single show throughout this touring cycle, ensuring that even fans who've already attended multiple stops on this tour can't fully predict exactly what they're going to experience walking into any specific night. Given that unpredictable nature, last night's specific surprise song selections likely created some genuinely unique, unrepeatable moments specific to this particular MetLife Stadium crowd, distinct from whatever surprise songs might have been performed at previous tour stops throughout Europe or elsewhere on this tour's route. If you were in the stadium last night, or if you've already seen clips circulating from fans who attended, you likely have a much clearer picture of exactly which songs made an appearance during those specific surprise segments. Let's think about what made this particular show so significant specifically within the context of everything we've discussed on this channel throughout this entire comeback year. This tour stop arrives just under 2 weeks after BTS's genuinely historic appearance at the FIFA World Cup final halftime show, which we've covered extensively already, an appearance that potentially exposed the group to over 1 billion viewers worldwide. Following up that unprecedented global moment with this return to MetLife Stadium, in front of a sold-out crowd of 82,000 dedicated fans, represents this powerful continuation of BTS's ongoing presence within the American market, specifically, building directly on whatever additional mainstream visibility that World Cup performance likely generated. Let's also touch on the broader significance of this show, representing BTS's first official concerts in the New York and New Jersey area since the 2019 Love Yourself tour run. Think about everything that's happened in the years between those two MetLife Stadium appearances. Back in 2019, BTS was already an enormous global phenomenon, but the years since then have included this massive expansion of their commercial success, their historic military service period that paused collective group activities for an extended stretch, and now, this remarkable comeback era we've documented so extensively throughout this year. Returning to this exact same venue, carrying all of that additional history and experience, adds this genuinely meaningful layer of significance to last night's performance that goes well beyond just being another stop on an already ambitious touring schedule. Let's think about what this specific New York area stop means within the broader context of the American leg of this tour more generally. Looking at the overall tour schedule, this MetLife Stadium stop falls right in the middle of an intensive North American touring stretch, with additional stops already scheduled at venues like Gillette Stadium in Massachusetts, M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore, AT&T Stadium in Texas, and further shows in Toronto, Chicago, and Los Angeles rounding out this particular touring leg. Given just how significant the New York media market specifically is within the broader American entertainment landscape, this MetLife Stadium stop likely carries some additional weight in terms of overall media coverage and mainstream visibility compared to some of the tour's other American stops. Let's talk about what a typical night at one of these era-rang world tour shows generally looks like, based on everything we know about how this tour has unfolded at previous stops, giving us a reasonable picture of what fans likely experienced last night specifically. The show typically opens with high-energy tracks designed to immediately establish that electric stadium atmosphere, before working through a carefully sequenced mix of material that balances the group's newest era songs alongside beloved career-spanning favorites. Throughout the show, there's typically a mix of full group performances alongside moments that showcase individual members, giving artists like Jimin specific opportunities to shine through his own particular strengths as a performer, his vocal delivery, his stage presence, and his consistently praised dance execution. Let's think about what Jimin's individual contributions to a show like this typically look like, based on everything we've discussed throughout this entire comeback year regarding his consistent strength as a live performer. Whether it's his commitment to the choreography during high-energy group numbers, his vocal performances during some of the tour's more emotionally driven moments, or his overall stage presence throughout the show's various segments, Jimin has consistently been recognized as one of BTS's most compelling individual performers throughout this current touring cycle, and there's no reason to expect last night's MetLife Stadium show represented any exception to that established pattern. Let's also spend some time thinking about the broader atmosphere and energy that typically surrounds a show of this scale and significance, particularly given everything we know about how significant this specific return to the New York area was for both the group and their fans. Stadium shows of this magnitude tend to carry this genuinely electric atmosphere from the moment doors open, with fans who've often traveled significant distances specifically for this show building anticipation throughout the pre-show period, before that energy fully erupts once the actual performance begins. Given the additional emotional weight of this being BTS's first return to this specific venue since 2019, following everything the group has experienced in the years since, last night's atmosphere likely carried some genuinely powerful, emotionally charged energy beyond what you might typically expect from even an already massive stadium show. Let's think about what this means for tonight's second and final show at this particular venue, because that's obviously where our collective attention shifts now that last night's opening show is wrapped. Second night shows on this tour have consistently demonstrated their own unique energy compared to opening nights, with the members having already gotten a feel for the specific venue and crowd dynamic from the previous evening, often leading to some genuinely memorable, spontaneous moments building on whatever energy was established during that first performance. Given how significant last night's show clearly was, there's a real possibility that tonight's second MetLife Stadium performance could end up generating some equally, if not more, significant moments as this historic New York area stop comes to its conclusion. Let's also touch on the broader significance of having two consecutive nights at the same venue, rather than just a single show, within the context of this specific tour stop. This structure gives an even larger portion of the tri-state area's massive ARMY community the opportunity to attend, given just how much demand clearly existed for tickets to this particular stop on the tour. Combined with that sold-out status we mentioned earlier, having 2 full nights at a venue of this scale represents a genuinely significant commitment of both time and resources specifically dedicated to serving this particular market and fan base. Let's think about what kind of content and coverage we're likely to continue seeing emerge from this MetLife Stadium stop over the coming days, given the pattern we've observed throughout this entire comeback year of major tour stops generating significant social media attention and fan-generated content. With last night's show now complete, and tonight's second performance still ahead, we're likely to see continued waves of fan-captured footage, reaction content, and additional coverage emerging from this entire New York area stop, particularly once both nights have concluded and fans have had the opportunity to fully process and share their complete experience of this historic return to MetLife Stadium. Let's also spend some time thinking about the broader emotional significance of this specific tour stop for fans who may have specifically attended BTS's original 2019 Love Yourself tour shows at this exact same venue. For those fans specifically, last night's show likely carried this genuinely powerful sense of full-circle continuity, watching the same group return to the same stadium years later, having grown and evolved so significantly in the time since, both individually and collectively as a group. That kind of extended, ongoing relationship between an artist and a specific venue, spanning multiple different eras of a group's career, adds this genuinely meaningful layer of history and continuity that goes well beyond just the immediate excitement of any single individual show. Let's think about the broader pattern this MetLife Stadium stop represents within everything we've covered throughout this entire comeback year regarding Jimin's individual journey and BTS's collective story more broadly. From the historic World Cup final halftime show, to various brand partnerships and individual recognition across multiple industries, to their Album of the Year win at the KM Chart Awards, to now this return to MetLife Stadium marking their first New York area shows since 2019, this has genuinely been one of the most consistently significant, milestone-filled periods throughout BTS's entire career, and last night's opening MetLife Stadium show represents just the latest chapter within that already remarkable ongoing story. Let's also touch on the broader significance of this specific American touring leg within the context of BTS's relationship with their American fanbase more generally. Given everything we've discussed regarding their World Cup performance and its potential to introduce the group to entirely new audiences across America, this MetLife Stadium stop, and the broader American touring leg it's part of, represents a genuinely significant opportunity for BTS to continue building and strengthening their connection with American fans specifically, at exactly the moment when their mainstream visibility within this particular market appears to be at one of its highest points throughout their entire career. Let's think about what fans who weren't able to attend either of these MetLife Stadium shows in person might be looking forward to in terms of eventually experiencing this specific tour stop through other means. Given how significant this particular show has clearly been, both in terms of ticket demand and broader cultural significance, it wouldn't be surprising to see this specific stop eventually receive some kind of additional official documentation or coverage, whether that's through official social media content, potential future tour documentary material, or other official channels specifically highlighting this historic return to the New York area. Let's also spend some time thinking about the broader logistics and preparation that likely went into pulling off a production of this scale, particularly given that this specific stop required essentially recreating this entire massive 360-degree stage production for 2 consecutive nights at this specific venue. The coordination required to transport, assemble, and then eventually disassemble a stage production of this scale and complexity, all while maintaining the exact same level of quality and precision across both consecutive show nights, represents a genuinely significant logistical undertaking, one that speaks to just how much investment and coordination has gone into making this entire touring cycle function at this consistently high level across so many different venues and countries throughout its extended run. Let's think about the broader significance of Jimin specifically continuing to perform at this level of consistency and quality, given everything else he's been individually involved with throughout this same period, from brand partnerships to charity auction attention to various other individual milestones we've covered extensively on this channel. Maintaining this level of live performance quality and energy, night after night, across an already demanding touring schedule, while simultaneously managing all of these additional individual commitments and recognition happening across completely different industries and contexts, speaks to genuinely impressive professional dedication and stamina on his part throughout this entire comeback period. Let's wrap up by recapping everything we've discussed today regarding this historic first night back at MetLife Stadium. BTS, including Jimin, returned to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey, for their first official concerts in the New York and New Jersey area since their 2019 Love Yourself tour shows at this exact same venue. Last night's sold-out show, part of the ongoing Ararang World Tour, likely featured a setlist blending material from their current Ararang album alongside career-spanning classics, all performed on that tour's signature 360-degree in the round stage design, complete with those rotating surprise song segments that have become such a beloved, unpredictable element of this entire touring cycle. This performance arrives at a particularly significant moment within BTS's broader comeback story, following their historic World Cup final halftime show appearance and everything else we've discussed throughout this incredibly eventful year. With tonight's second and final MetLife Stadium show still ahead, this historic New York area stop is shaping up to be one of the most significant and memorable chapters yet within this ongoing Ararang World Tour, marking a genuinely powerful full-circle moment for both BTS and their dedicated New York area fanbase, following everything the group has experienced since their last appearance at this exact same venue back in 2019. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way through. If you enjoyed this breakdown of BTS's historic return to MetLife Stadium, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update like this one in the future. Drop a comment down below letting me know if you were lucky enough to attend last night's show in person, and if you did, I would absolutely love to hear about your personal experience and whatever those surprise songs turned out to be. As always, thank you for being here, thank you for your continued support, and I'll see you in the next video, where we'll likely be covering everything that happens during tonight's second and final New York area show.